In strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to Stratnewsglobal. I am Surya Gangadharan. Before I get on to our topic for the day, let me first do a quick promo about our upcoming series on the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party. We are lining up a star cast of experts from various parts of the world. And we also have a former Indian Foreign Secretary, Mr. Vijay Gokhale, who will be pitching the series to all of you. We look forward to having you, and we'll be looking at some really at some insights into the Communist Party, how it has evolved in all these years. So that's about what's going to happen from 1st of July. For now, let me begin with drone wars. As you're aware, the strike on the Air Force station in Jammu has opened up the threat scenario from the skies in a manner perhaps that was not anticipated, but somehow was always known. Somehow India tends to react much later to these developments. And I have with me General Ravishankar, former Director General Artillery. He's a known specialist on drones and drone warfare. And we're going to talk to him about the implications of this this attack and what are we looking at. General Ravishankar, thank you and welcome.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on the show. And it's my honor to be with you, Mr. Gangadharan.
So what is your initial thought about this attack? What is it that strikes you?
The first thing which struck me was that it has finally arrived. In fact, it was overdue. Such an attack has finally arrived on our soil. It was overdue for a long time. You go take your mind back ever since we can remember. The Americans have been carrying out drone attacks from Pakistan into Afghanistan. Then that Irani general Soleimani was knocked down, taken out by a drone attack. It was a sophisticated drone attack. And then, of course, you look at the Aramco oil fields. That's a classic attack with low-cost drones, which I have analyzed in detail. And if you also further look back, Osama bin Laden was actually zeroed on by drone surveillance. So it was just on the cards that it had to appear on our soil. And it has appeared, luckily for us, at a low cost. It has a low cost effect, and we have time to take care.
Mm-hmm. So why didn't we anticipate this? I mean, it's been talked about for a long time, even in the context of Parliament, I recall.
Well, that is something which I think all our planners have to answer. It was not as if this drone threat was not there. It was just like we were probably wishing it away. I fail to understand. Let me be very honest. I've written about it, and I've actually rewritten that article or republished this article today, two of my articles. One was for the USI Journal, and one, the Aramco oil attacks. I did a detailed study. And, well, no one bothered, but I suppose now people will sit up and start thinking as to how to ward this problem off. And it's going to be a widespread problem, believe you me.
Because all of India has opened up, it's no longer just Air Force stations. It's right from Parliament to,
anyone. Look, let me put it in perspective. This is a very funny threat. In the sense that anyone with a grouse against anyone else can use a drone to attack.
Yeah.
It could be communal, it could be non-communal, it could be political, it could be Gundaism. You can do anything with this thing. And especially in our scenario where these drones are quite unregulated usage. You can use it for a video conference. You can use it for a marriage, and you can use it in this thing. So it's quite chaotic. I think the government of India has to put things in place. And this is a wake-up call for us. It's a national wake-up call.
So how do we respond to this threat?
See, we have to put a system in place. First and foremost, let me go through the various steps. You have to have a counter-drone policy. But before you have a counter-drone policy, you have to have a regulatory policy for drones. So that every Tom, Dick and Harry cannot get hold of a drone and buy it. You can't buy a drone off the shelf on Amazon or something like that and start flying it. So there has to be a regulatory framework as to who can fly, and if he has to fly, he has to get registered and things like that. There has to be a license. A guy who has to fly a drone has to have his ID registered. So that part has to be put in place. That's the fundamental framework. So that it's something like every guy can't drive a car. Every guy can't fly a airplane. So similarly, every guy shouldn't be allowed to fly a drone, no matter how small or big it is. So that's the first part. The second part is we need to understand the tactics, local tactics, for each kind of a threat, whether it's a threat against a civil air field, or a military installation, or a sensitive place, or a sensitive locality, right? Anything. You need to have, okay, everyone has to think, how can a drone attack me? And put in place a system of monitoring and surveillance. You just can't attack a drone with a drone off the cuff. So once you do a monitoring and this thing, then the drone has got some vulnerabilities and characteristics. It's got some characteristics,
Yeah.
it's got some vulnerabilities. For example, a drone, whatever the type of a drone, it can't hide its sound. So that acoustic signature can be used. It has to be controlled electronically. Even automated drones or whatever, independent, whatever they call it, still has to give signals and take signals out. So they can be interfered with. So there are a lot of methods, and then you can directly, get them down. Drones are slow-moving objects, and if they're quadcopters, they're even more slow-moving. So you can knock them off, and you have to be alert about it. That's about all. And you have to have a system in place. If you don't have a system in place, what has happened in Jammu will get magnified and replicated all over.
So, but frankly, given the fact that, okay, maybe they are slow right now, but maybe another couple of years from now, you have something like a global hawk, in the hands of some non-state actor, putting out something on Parliament.
Let me put it this way: a global hawk kind of a scenario with a non-state actor is a difficult proposition because he has to have a lot of infrastructure for it. Uh, 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 Aircraft like a global hawk is a full-fledged aircraft. You need a runway, you need satellite communications, and all that. That is a bit difficult, and such aircraft get detected by your air defense systems, because anything which has to go and attack has to come low. You can't attack from 30,000 feet and things like that. I mean, physically it's difficult. Yeah, you can launch a airstrike. Even the best of attack drones or armed drones have to do a low strike. So you can put things in place, but theoretically, yes, I go with you. Any guy can with the kind of quadcopters which are coming, heavy lift quadcopters. Well, it's feasible. Last year I remember a lot of activities across Punjab border, where they were getting drugs and they were getting rifles and weapons across. That means that drone had the capability to lift already 20-25 kg. So it's
Yeah.
not a simple thing. 20 kg of explosive dropped on any system will go fat. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
big bang. And as I understand, this thing was just about half a kg worth of explosives, or maybe 1 kg worth of explosives. Just imagine 25 kg worth of explosive is like a 155 shell. And if it can be dropped with accuracy, it will cause a lot of damage. So, I mean, we have to take it seriously. And we have to approach things methodically. That's the more important part.
Are we? Do we have a program for designing and building drones here? I know
See,
HAL, DRDO has been working on it for some
See,
years.
DRDO has been working on it for over about 2 decades, and they have not been very successful at it. There are some small players who are actually importing parts and doing it. HAL has started something, but I don't see any great success in it. In IIT in Madras, we have been doing it. In fact, when I quit the service, I said, let me start a drone program. And we started the drone program, and we have 2-3 varieties of drones. We did a few tests, but which failed. Like all good things which start have to fail. We overcome all those design problems. Our problem right now is COVID. Because of COVID, we are not able to fly. We are ready with a couple of aircrafts. And the moment we are able to fly, we'll put the necessary. It becomes a platform to put whatever payload we want. And in fact, we
Is
presented it in the last Def Expo. Also, we presented it to public. Or
the military interested?
well, the military says they're interested, but they don't come forward because nothing comes without funding. That's another problem. I mean, I went to everyone and said, look, why don't you give some funds, minimal funds, right? And you'll get out of proportion results. But then we, for some reason, whether I'm not parochial with the Army, Navy, and Air Force. All three of them are equally not interested or didn't show interest beyond saying, yes, we are interested.
Maybe
So
it doesn't have a foreign stamp.
I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. Someone did tell me, they said, look, why are you trying to peddle your drone to the Indian government? They said, go take it out, sell it abroad, and from there they'll buy it automatically. I mean, that's a telling thing on our government, but that this is what people tell me. And while people from outside have come, and in fact, one investor from USA came and said, we'll invest a couple of $1 million in your program, but we'll need the IPR. I am not interested in that. I want to make it for India, and I'll make it for India at whatever the cost or no cost.
So one of the points is that it's the I'm looking at how from the rather crude method of infiltrating people across the line of control. Today we have utter deniability. If you look at it, we don't
Yes.
know where these UAVs went, where these drones went. For all you know, they were launched from somewhere within Jammu itself.
Yeah, possible. I mean, the drones are so ubiquitous that they could be launched from across the border. After Jammu is not too far away; it's only about 20
Yeah.
kilometers, and they could be controlled from within the vicinity, near vicinity of this thing, air base. They could have been, or it could be within the other side. I mean, why look westwards? Anywhere eastwards in the mountains, also you could launch it. There are enough low hills from where you can launch. I mean, launching a drone is not the issue; the control is the issue. So you could do it. So I don't know where it has come from. Obviously, it has not come from with good intention, right?
Yeah.
So we have to look 360 degrees. This is something which we cannot. And actually, if you analyze the Aramco oil, strikes, drone strikes, they crossed the Gulf with a whole stream of UAVs and
Yeah,
went in depth.
absolutely.
So it is feasible. Technically, it is feasible to strike from across the border or from hinterland. So you have to guard against both.
So, are there any? I mean, like you have this radar for detecting aircraft and missile,
Yeah, yeah.
and
You
so
can
on.
use.
As small as a drone.
Yeah, yeah. You can. You see, we have weapon locating radars, which are in service, which detect shells, 155 shells going at high speed. So if they can detect a 155 shell, which is hardly a couple of meters, right, at going at nearly 1 Mach, it will also catch a drone. It's not a big thing. You have continuous wave radars which can catch a drone. It's not a. You just have to put it together. See, a drone, even your sound will come out, and we have the technology. Sound ranging was a technology used to detect guns and locate guns accurately. But in this case, you don't need accurate detection. You just need a general line of sight, and once you get a line of sight, you can electronically interfere with it, and which is the best way of doing it, rather than And then, of course, the radars can catch. You'll get a clear track, very clear track. I am very confident of that.
So we have some people watching our show, and there is Shitij who's asking, should we engage Elvira systems or any better anti-drone grid system? Should there be a
See,
blanket ban on drones?
no, I wouldn't say blanket ban on drones. Drones are a reality you have to live with. Like cars were a reality and they pushed out horses. Drones are a reality. We have to live with them, but we have to regulate them. Strict regulations. That's the first part. We need a comprehensive anti-drone capability developed by ourselves, which we have the capability. Why should you look at some system? Even see, our first reaction, unfortunately, is to look outside. You
Just
can't keep
import it,
looking out
yeah.
of your window. Yeah, you can't keep looking out of a window and say I'm going to be a global power. At some these are local, and many of these technologies are resident in India. They're not, like sound ranging technology is of Second World War vintage. Nothing very great. You already have radars. You have direction finding systems in electronic warfare deployed. These three put together give you a grid. If someone has to think that way, right? I mean, let me be very honest with you. When I wrote this thing for the USI last year, no one read it. The
No one read
problem
it.
is that, yeah, hardly. I got a very little this thing, feedback as to how many people read it. You read it. If you read that article, it tells you exactly what is to be done. It's very simple,
Maybe they don't
and
read.
we have all the technologies.
Yeah.
No, people
Sir,
would have read it.
I have
Yeah.
another question from Rajat Sharma. He's
Okay.
saying, how is India going to react to this attack? And you have talked about the Rustam UAV only once. Why?
Because it's not come on ground. For the past 10 years, I've been hearing of Rustum UAV, or
Hmm.
maybe even more, 15 years. But it has to prove itself. See, let's be very clear about one thing. A counter for a UAV is not a UAV.
Uh-huh.
A counter for a UAV will not strike down another UAV. This is not like a tank versus a tank battle. The counter for a UAV is something different. It is electronic, it is acoustic, it is laser. You can use air defense weapon systems, what like. I mean, like I said, you have to go through that process of identification, detection, surveillance, monitoring, then locating and then destroying it. And destruction could be electronic, it could be kinetic, it could be whatever. Right? That's a different story. But the entire game of UAV is different. You could use it for surveillance, it's across, When I say across, it is for purposes which are proactive. You could use it for surveillance, you could use it for communication, you could use it for attack, you could use it for whatever you want, right? That is a different story. You could use it for Met, even for Met systems, you can use UAVs. So that is a different ball game. So these two things are totally different.
So how would you, so like Rajat had mentioned, how is India going to react to this attack? I mean, first of all,
Well,
we don't even know who is attacked.
yeah, that I suppose will come out. Immediately things normally don't happen, but eventually it will come out as to where this whole thing
Yeah.
came from, right? And in all these, a pattern has to be set. First time, all of us are lost. It's a pattern which will be set, and once that pattern evolves, we'll also know where this thing is. But let me put it: the first thing we have to do is defend ourselves. So your first reaction is you have to defend, take a stock of things, put these technologies together with very quickly, and start defending. Okay, we shouldn't go through that, capital acquisition route and all that will come after 10 years. So you have to do it quickly, and I think DRDO has to get its act together on a fast forward mode, and so that we are able to defend ourselves first. So that is the thing. And then, of course, once you are clear as to who has done this, you deny that space to him, or you do something else to him, offensively destroy that
Now, sir,
source.
you mentioned that drone technology is something, capability is something we already have. Then why has the DRDO taken so many years? Is it not a priority or what is it?
That is something which you have to ask the DRDO, right? And I wouldn't like to comment on it. They have to take a call as to why they have delayed the whole thing so far. It's inordinate. Ever since I was a full colonel, I've been hearing of DRDO drones, but we have not seen the light of the day so far. And now,
So
well,
overall, sir,
that's about over about 15, 20 years.
mhm. So, overall, when you look at it, can you identify 3 steps we must take as of now?
See, like I said, counter drone philosophy you have to put in place. That's the first thing. You have to take stock of the situation and start a process by which you can counter these drones. These drone attacks will increase. We are, like I said, we are very lucky that this is on just a small attack. Nothing has
Yeah.
happened. So put that in place. That's the first step, right? And the second step is you should have a system by which you can detect these drone attacks beforehand. You have to analyze who are the guys who are likely to have drones, everything. But this is a new field. I can't say any 3 things. In fact, again, you have to put the detection system, you have to put the monitoring system, surveillance system, locating system, and that's the process. And we have to this. Now, whether we have to have drones or not, that is not it's not a question. We need. Do we have to do our own? Yes, you have to invest in about 5-6 people, maybe more. Invest money. Unless you invest, you will not get nothing. If you are only investing into DRDO, getting nothing out of it, then there's something you have to look beyond DRDO. No? I'm not against the DRDO, mind you. I've spent a lot of time with the DRDO and I have a lot of respect for it. And in fact, I'm proud that I was part of the first missile development way back in 80s with Agni and Prithvi. They've done a hell of a lot. But you have to get things out of them, and if they have a problem, go elsewhere.
Delivering.
Yeah. You can't, depend on one horse itself only. Or you say, if the DRDO can't give you, I'll go for import or leasing. That's not the answer.
Yeah, perhaps the import is what everybody likes. It's convenient, it's fast, and
no, it's got its problems. It's got its tremendous. I think the CDS. When I say the CDS, all the 3 services have to come on one page and put their money into 2-3 technologies, and there are technologies available, and things can happen. I mean, I will also put it across that the Army and the Navy are helping us, right? Like I told you, we are stuck because of this COVID business.
Yeah.
IITs are closed, and IIT Madras has had 2-3 outbreaks of COVID, so we are in a bad shape that way. Otherwise, our aircrafts are ready. And once these aircrafts are deployed and we fly them, I'm sure services will come. I mean, rather than saying that, no, they'll never come and all that, we'll have to look at it positively.
Okay, so General Shankar, thank you for that insight and your perspective. To all of you out there, including Mr. Ordinary Guy, who is suggesting that Stratnewsglobal should do a separate episode on solutions, products in counter-drone technology. Maybe we'll take you up on that suggestion at some point. But for now, that's all we have. Again, thank you, General Ravishankar. And for all of you who have sent us your comments and observations, thank you very much. Keep following us on Twitter, social media, and do send us your comments and observations regularly as you do. So many of you whose names I have noticed over a period of time, and glad to have you back. That's all we have for today. General Shankar again, thank you, sir, and goodbye.
As the Chinese Communist Party marks its 100th anniversary, noted China watchers take a look back at what the world's largest political party has achieved and the challenges it faces going forward.
Go by population statistics, it is still 1 out of every 14 Chinese men and women who are members of the party.
A party that came from 100 years ago. A machine, you might say, that rules 1/4 of humanity.
Everyday lives of all Chinese citizens.
Only on Stratnewsglobal.